That Tuesday started like any other school day, but something in the air felt off, like when the sky goes quiet before heavy rain. Talia noticed it first. She was the girl who always noticed when small things changed. The way socks felt tighter. The way toast tasted strange. The way her chest did that tiny squeeze when something bad was about to happen. She stood by the living room window and watched her two brothers drag their backpacks inside. No laughing. No shoving. No inside jokes. Just footsteps. Heavy ones. But before we continue, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to this channel to support our growth. Because this story is just getting started. Jax came in first, tall for his age, shoulders already slumped. His hair stuck up in places he never cared to fix. He went straight to the couch and sat down hard like his legs had forgotten how to work. Milo followed, slower, quieter, cheeks red like he had been holding something inside all day. He set his bag down too carefully, like it might explode if he dropped it. Their mom, Liana, stood in the kitchen stirring a pot that no one would eat later. She turned around when the house went too quiet. Mothers noticed silence the way sailors notice the wind stopping. "Talia," she called. "Jax." "Milo." No answer. She stepped into the living room. All three of her kids were sitting in a straight line on the couch, hands in their laps, eyes too serious. Three small judges. Three tiny storms. "What happened?" Liana asked softly. Talia stood up. Not slow. Not fast. Just steady. "We need to talk," she said. Jax nodded like an old man. Milo sniffed once and wiped his nose with the back of his sleeve. Liana's heart started to beat wrong. "I'm here," she said. "Talk to me." Jax looked down at his sneakers. Milo stared at the floor. Talia looked right into her mother's eyes. "Mom, who is our dad?" The word hit Liana like a slap. Not hard. Sharp. Cold. She opened her mouth. Then closed it. Then tried again. "That's not something we need to talk about today." "Why?" Jax asked. His voice wasn't loud. It was worse. Flat. "Because it's complicated." Talia's shoulders tightened. "We hate that word." Milo whispered. "Kids at school used it." Liana felt something drop inside her chest. "Used what?" she asked. Jax swallowed. Then said it. "They said we don't belong to anyone." Milo sniffed again. "They said kids without dads are always trouble." Talia clenched her fists so tight her knuckles turned white. And one boy said. She stopped. Her bottom lip trembled. Then she forced the words out. "He said our mother must have scared our dad away." Silence swallowed the room. Liana moved fast. Faster than she had in years. She wrapped all three kids into her arms like she could hide them inside her ribs. "You listen to me," she whispered fiercely. "You belong. You are wanted. And anyone who says you don't is a liar." Milo cried into her shirt. Jax pressed his forehead to her shoulder. Talia stayed stiff. "Then where is he?" she asked. Liana pulled back. Tried to smile. Failed. "He's not here." "That's not an answer," Jax said. Milo whispered. "Every kid had their dad come to school today." Talia said nothing. She just stared. That look. The same look she had when she figured out how to climb the tall fence out back. The same look she had when she found the missing keys inside the freezer. Liana knew that look. It was the look before danger. "We're not going back to school tomorrow," Talia said. Jax blinked. "We're not." Milo gasped. "We're not." Talia crossed her arms. "No school. No chores. No quiet. We protest," she said. "What's a protest?" Milo asked. "Where you don't stop until people listen." Jax nodded slowly. "I like this plan." Liana's heart pounded. "You're too young to talk like this." Talia tilted her head. "You told us that before." "Mom," Jax said quietly. "We're not babies." Milo whispered. "We just want a name." Liana felt her walls shake. She stood there. In her old house. In her old pain. In front of three faces that looked at her like the answer lived inside her bones. "I can't," she said. Not loud. Not angry. Just tired. "I can't yet." Talia didn't shout. She didn't cry. She nodded. Once. "Okay." And walked upstairs. Jax and Milo followed without speaking. Liana sank into the couch like her body had forgotten how to hold itself up. She pressed her face into her palms. 8 years. That's how long she had run. From that night. From his face. From the sound of laughter turning into silence. From love turning into something sharp. Across the hall, Talia closed her bedroom door. Locked it. She climbed onto her bed and looked at her brothers. "We find him," she said. Jax frowned. "How?" Milo whispered. "We don't even know his name." Talia reached under her bed. Pulled out a notebook. Pages filled with drawings, schedules, maps, names of teachers, bus routes, phone numbers scribbled in crayons and pen. She flipped it open to a blank page. "We start simple." Jax leaned forward. Milo hugged a pillow. Talia whispered, "Someone knows." Jax blinked. Milo's eyes widened. "Someone always knows." A soft knock came at the door. "Talia," Liana's voice said. "Can we talk?" No answer. Talia didn't move. Jax stared at the door. Milo curled into himself. The knock came again. Then footsteps faded. Talia exhaled. "We'll do it quietly," she said. "No asking, Mom." Jax nodded. Milo whispered, "No more waiting." The house fell asleep, but the three of them did not. Down in the kitchen, Liana sat at the table with a cup of cold tea untouched. Her hands shook. Her phone buzzed once. She ignored it. Then again. She picked it up. A message on the screen. Unknown number. Just one line. "Did you ever tell them about me?" Her heart stopped. Cold moved through her veins. Slow. Sharp. Then the lights outside flickered. Car doors slammed. And somewhere down the street, a man who had no idea he was about to lose his peace forever sat alone in a quiet restaurant. Liana stood suddenly. Her chair tipped backward. Her phone slipped from her hand. On the screen, another message flashed. "Because I think someone just found me." Her front door began to shake. Not from a knock. From something heavier. Dragging. Something breathing. Something coming closer. Then, the doorbell rang. Once. Slow. Deep. And the house held its breath. The doorbell rang again. Not loud. Not soft. Just heavy enough to make Liana feel it in her chest. She stood frozen in the hallway, barefoot on cold tiles, staring at the door like it might bite her if she moved. Upstairs, Talia had pressed her ear to her bedroom door. Jack stood behind her. Milo clutched his pajama shirt with both hands. "Someone's here," Milo whispered. Talia didn't answer. She already knew. Downstairs, the doorbell rang a third time. Then came a knock. Slow. Firm. The kind of knock adults use when they mean business. Liana swallowed hard and forced her legs to move. Every step felt too loud. Her hand shook as she reached the handle. "Who is it?" she asked. Her voice came out thin. A man's voice answered from the other side. Calm. Deep. "Ma'am, I believe you, and I have something important to talk about." Liana's heart slammed against her ribs. She knew that voice. She had tried for years to forget it. But memory is cruel like that. It waits. She opened the door. And there he stood. Tall. Clean. Wearing a dark coat that looked far too expensive for her small porch. His hair was neat. His eyes were sharp. The same eyes that once looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. Now they looked tired, surprised, and confused. "Liana," he said. Just her name. Not soft. Not cold. Real. Her knees went weak. She grabbed the door frame to stay standing. "Ethan," she whispered. Upstairs, Talia froze. That name. She had never heard it before. Never once. Jax's eyes widened. Milo mouthed the word. "Ethan." Downstairs, neither adult moved. Neither breathed. 8 years of silence stood between them. Then Ethan spoke. "I didn't know," he said. His voice cracked. "I swear. I didn't know." Liana's hands curled into fists. "Then why are you here?" she asked. His jaw tightened. "Because someone came to me today." Her heart dropped. "A woman?" He nodded slowly. A single nod that shook her bones. She said 3 children were asking questions. Said they looked like me. Liana's breath left her in one hard gasp. Upstairs, Jax leaned into Talia and whispered, "He's here." She nodded once. Milo whispered, "Is that?" She nodded again. Downstairs, Ethan stepped closer. "Did you really think I'd walk away if I knew?" he asked. Liana shook her head. Tears filled her eyes, but didn't fall. "I didn't think you'd choose me." Silence cracked open between them. Ethan leaned on the door frame now, like his legs needed support too. "I loved you," he said. Liana's lips trembled. "I still do," he added. From upstairs, Milo's foot slipped on the stair. A quiet noise. But enough. Both adults turned. "What was that?" Ethan asked. Liana's face drained of color. "No one," she lied. Ethan's eyes moved past her. He took one slow step inside the house. Liana tried to block him. But he was already there. Already walking. Already breathing in the air that held her children's laughter. "Who's here?" he asked. She didn't answer. Then came a sound. Footsteps. 3 sets. Small. Careful. Ethan turned just as Talia stepped into the hallway. Jax behind her. Milo clutching his sleeve. They stopped halfway down the stairs. Time froze. Ethan's eyes widened. He stared, not like a stranger, like a man looking into mirrors he never knew existed. Talia stared back, hard, fearlessly. Jack swallowed. Milo hid behind his brother's shoulder. Ethan dropped his keys. They hit the floor loud, lost in the silence. Liana, he breathed. She closed her eyes, then said it. Slow, clear. They're yours. Ethan's breath hitched. Talia lifted her chin. We figured that. Jax added. You look too much like us not to be. Milo whispered. Especially your eyes. Ethan sank onto the nearest chair like someone had cut his strings. I didn't know, he repeated. I swear I didn't. Talia walked closer. No fear in her steps. Only fire. Were you ever going to come looking? Ethan's heart broke right there. I thought you hated me, he said quietly. I waited. I called. I wrote. Liana looked away. Talia frowned. She never said you tried. Ethan nodded. She blocked me. Liana flinched. Jax's voice shook. You stayed away because of a misunderstanding? Ethan's eyes filled. Yes. Milo whispered. That's dumb. Nobody argued. A heavy silence fell. Then loud. From beneath the house. A sound thudded through the floor. A low banging. Like something trapped. Like something beating its way out. Everyone froze. Ethan stood. What was that? He asked. The bang came again. Louder. This time from wherever the floor met the walls. Talia's heart jumped. Jax grabbed Milo. Milo whimpered. Ethan looked at Liana. Is someone in your house, Liana? Her face went pale. She looked at the door behind him. Then at the floor. Then at her children. Did you do something? She asked. Talia didn't answer. Another bang. Strong. Inside the house. Ethan stepped forward. You call the police, he said. Now. Before Liana could reply, Talia moved. Fast. To the hallway closet. She opened it. Her hand disappeared inside. Pulled out a bag. Small. Black. Jax gasped. Milo whispered. Talia. Ethan stared in shock. What is that? Talia's hand shook as she dropped the bag. White powder spilled slightly from the side. Liana felt her heart stop. What is that? She whispered. Talia didn't look at her. Science, she said quietly. Ethan nearly shouted. Why do you have that in my children's house? The banging grew louder. Closer. Liana screamed. Who is in my house? The sound came from the hallway behind the couch. The wall creaked. Paint dust fell. Milo sobbed. Mommy, I'm scared. Ethan moved instantly. He pulled the kids behind him. Hands out. Body blocking them. I will not let anyone hurt them, he said. The wall cracked. Just a little. Then, the sound stopped. Silence. Heavy. Then a voice. Muffled. Angry. Let me out. Everyone screamed. Ethan's eyes burned. Now, he said. Who is that? Liana looked at Talia. Talia finally looked up. Her eyes filled with fear. And guilt. And something else. Determination. She whispered. It's you. Ethan stared. What? Talia swallowed. We brought you home. Another bang. Much louder. Something hit the wall from inside. Plaster fell. Milo screamed and buried his face into Liana's shirt. Ethan grabbed the flashlight from his phone and aimed it toward the hallway. Say that again, he demanded. Talia whispered shakily. We brought you home in the trunk. Silence. Sharp. Endless. Then the wall behind them cracked. A piece broke loose. A hand burst through, grabbing air, dragging itself out. Ethan shouted, Get back. The kidnapped victim was him, and he was still trapped, trying to escape. From inside their house, the hand pushed harder. Plaster cracked. Paint chips fell like snow. Then the wall split open. A shoulder burst through. Then a head. A face. Bruised. Red. Sweating. Eyes wild with fear. Ethan shouted, Get away from my family. Liana pulled the kids behind her. Talia froze, because the man pulling himself out of the wall had her father's face. Not Ethan. The other one. The one they drugs had touched. The one they had tied. The one they had stuffed in the dark. The stranger they had dragged home. The billionaire. The man they kidnapped. He fell forward onto the floor with a heavy crash. Coughed. Spat dust. Tore at the rope still around his wrists. How did I get here? He shouted. What did you do to me? Ethan grabbed a chair and held it up like a shield. Liana screamed. Milo cried. Jax pulled Talia back. The man struggled to his feet, chest rising fast, eyes swinging across the room. His suit was torn. His hair was a mess. His voice shook with rage and fear. You tied me up, he yelled. You drugged me. You kidnapped me. Ethan froze. Drugged. Kidnapped. He slowly turned toward Talia. And Jax. And Milo. And Liana. What did you do? He whispered. Talia's knees buckled. She sank to the floor. Her brave face cracked open like glass. We didn't mean to hurt anyone, she said through tears. We just wanted our dad. The billionaire stared. What? Jack swallowed. We thought he was him. He pointed to Ethan. The man's lips parted. Confusion replaced anger. You thought I was your father? Ethan stepped forward. Then who are you? He asked. The stranger blinked. My name is Richard Hale. Hale. The name hit Ethan like a fist. He knew it. Everybody knew it. Billionaire. Powerful. Cold. Untouchable. Richard Hale. The richest man in 3 states. Liana gasped faintly. This can't be real. Milo whispered. We kidnapped the wrong daddy. Time pressed in around them. Nobody moved. Nobody blinked. Richard Hale tugged the ropes free with shaking fingers. Then pointed at Talia. You little girl. She flinched. He inhaled and steadied his voice. Why me? Talia wiped her face. We searched online, she said. Your face came up first. You went to the same restaurant. You wore the same watch. You walked like our mom said he did. The room went quiet. Richard slowly looked at Ethan. Then at Liana. Then back at the kids. You thought I was your father because I look like him. Ethan whispered faintly. To be fair, you do. Richard touched his own face. Then stared long at Ethan. Something passed between them. Something strange. Something unseen. We've met before, Richard said slowly. Ethan frowned. No, he said. I'd remember you. Richard's jaw clenched. I'm sure you would. The air felt thick now. Dangerous. Liana finally spoke. My children did not mean to hurt you. Richard exhaled. His hands shook. Your children kidnapped me from a restaurant in front of people. They drugged me. They locked me inside your walls. They could have killed me. Talia sobbed. I just wanted my dad to come to school. Richard stared at her. Something in his face changed. He lowered slowly onto a chair. His voice went quiet. Why did that matter so much? She whispered. Because nobody ever came. The words hung heavy. Jack said nothing. Milo leaned into Liana. Ethan watched it all. Guilt in his eyes. Anger in his chest. This is my fault, he said. Richard snapped his head up. What? Ethan clenched his fists. I should have found them. Richard looked at him. How were you supposed to? Ethan swallowed. Because they were mine. The billionaire's eyes sharpened. So you are the father. I am, Ethan said. Silence. Then Richard laughed. Not kind. Not happy. Dry. Empty. Then fate really is cruel, he muttered. What do you mean? Liana asked. Richard stood. Slow. Dangerously calm. I wasn't supposed to be here. Milo looked up. But you are. Richard looked down at him. Yes. Then he smiled. Not gentle. Not soft. Sharp. And wrong. And now that I am, he said, nothing in this house will ever be simple again. Ethan stepped closer. What are you talking about? Richard tilted his head. You don't know who I am. Ethan snapped. I know your name. Richard's smile widened. You know the version they print. Then his eyes moved to Liana. Slow. Interested. Tell me, doctor, he said quietly. Did you really think bringing me here would end with hugs? Talia sniffed. We thought you were him. Richard bent slightly, lowered his face to her level. His voice dropped. I am not your father. I am something else. Fear crawled up her spine. Ethan reached forward. You take one more step toward my children, and I swear. Richard raised a hand. Calm. Threatening. And you'll do what? He asked. You already let the wrong man into your home. The room darkened. Something in Richard's eyes shifted. We are done playing house. Suddenly, sirens wailed outside. Blue lights flashed through the windows. Liana gasped. The police. Milo whispered. Are we going to jail? Richard turned pale. Then angry. Then fast. He looked toward the back door. And smiled again. Well, he said. This just got interesting. Ethan shouted, don't move. Richard lunged. Not toward the door. Toward Talia. Ethan ran. Liana screamed. Jax tackled Milo out of the way. Richard grabbed Talia's arm and whispered something into her ear the moment his hand touched her. Something so quiet. So dark. So cold. Her scream cut through the house. Sirens grew louder. And Richard Hale disappeared through the back door, leaving behind a truth so big. It cracked the world in two. Talia collapsed onto her knees the second the door slammed. Her breath came in sharp pieces, like she had run too fast, like the air had run out. Ethan locked the door and rushed back into the living room. Talia, he dropped beside her, held her face in his hands. Look at me, he said. Baby, look at me. Her eyes were wide, not crying, not blinking, just frozen. Liana knelt too, pulling Milo into her chest while Jax hovered close, shaking. What did he say to you? Liana asked. Talia swallowed. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered the words. He said, you look just like my daughter. The room died. Ethan felt his chest cave in. Liana went white. What? Jax asked. Milo lifted his head slowly. But he's not our dad. Talia shook her head. That's not what he meant. Sirens howled louder outside. Police voices shouted in the distance. Richard Hale had vanished. But his words hadn't. Ethan squeezed Talia's cheeks gently. What did he mean then? He asked. She swallowed again. He whispered. You have my eyes. Silence crashed through them all. Ethan stared at Liana. Liana stared at the floor. Jax looked between them. Milo whispered, Mom. Liana covered her mouth. Tears finally broke free. I didn't tell you everything, she said. Ethan's heart thundered. Tell us, he demanded. Liana stood. Her hands shook. Her voice wobbled. Before you, she said to Ethan. Before that night, there was someone else. Ethan stiffened. Jax gasped. Milo pressed into Talia. Liana's voice cracked. Not someone I loved. Someone I feared. Ethan whispered. Richard Hale. She nodded. Once. Hard. Painfully. I worked in one of his clinics years ago, she said. I was young. I needed the money. I needed experience. And he noticed me. Ethan's ears rang. What does that mean? She hugged herself. It means he didn't take no kindly. The kid stared. Not understanding, but feeling. Liana went on. He never touched me, she said quickly. Never like that. But he controlled everything else. My schedule, my housing, my sleep, my safety. He watched me. Ethan clenched his jaw. Then how, he whispered. How could Talia? Liana's voice fell apart. I don't know. Ethan stood, stepped back, his chest rising and falling too fast. That night we were together, he said. That night 8 years ago. Yes, she whispered. Before that, he said. Was there ever him? Liana stopped breathing. The question cut too deep. Talia looked at her. Jax whispered, Mom. Milo shook his head. No. Liana fell onto the couch. I never let Richard touch me, she said. Never. Ethan closed his eyes. Then opened them. Then why would he say that? He asked quietly. To my daughter? Silence didn't answer. Fear did. Outside, police cars filled the street. Neighbors leaned out of windows. Voices buzzed. Liana forced herself up. We need to tell the truth, she said. Ethan nodded. Yes. Police knocked on the door. Hard. Firm. Police. Open up. Ethan opened it. 2 officers flooded in. Their eyes scanned the room. Are you all okay? One asked. Ethan nodded. Yes. He fled. Name? The other asked. Ethan looked down at Talia, then straight at the officer. Richard Hale, he said. The police stiffened. He was here. Yes. Whispers followed. Low. Urgent. One officer spoke into his radio, then looked back. We'll find him. They took statements. Photos. Questions. Too many questions. Too little comfort. And when they finally left, night swallowed the house whole. No one went to bed. No one slept. Talia sat in her room, holding her knees. Ethan sat in the doorway. Didn't speak. Didn't move. She finally whispered. Do I look like him? Ethan felt his chest break. He crossed the room, pulled her into his arms. You look like hope, he said. You look like fire. You look like mine. She grabbed onto him. Tightly. Like if she let go, the world might grab her instead. Down the hall, Jax sat with Milo. I don't like rich people anymore, Milo sniffed. Jax whispered. Then you're gonna be okay. In the living room, Liana stared at the wall. The place Richard had broken through. Like fear still lived there. Her phone buzzed. Once. She flinched. Ethan stood. She didn't want to look. But she did. Unknown number. One message. Just one. Do you know what freezes blood faster than fear? Another message arrived. I never came for money. Then, I came for my child. Liana dropped the phone. Ethan picked it up. Read it. His face changed. Hard. Cold. Dangerous. He's not done, he said. Talia appeared in the doorway. He knelt. Showed her the screen. She read it. Slow. Then swallowed. Her voice small. But, I'm not his. Ethan took her face gently. No, he said. But he believes you are. The house felt colder. Heavier. Outside, far away, somewhere in the dark, a man with too much power and too many secrets was making plans. And for the first time, the triplets understood something terrifying. This was no longer about a dad. or a school day, or even family. This was about survival. The house felt wrong. Not quiet. Not loud. Wrong. Like it didn't belong to them anymore. Talia sat on the edge of her bed, knees pulled to her chest, listening to every tiny sound. The clock ticking, the fridge humming, the floor creaking when the wind leaned against the walls. Every noise sounded like danger now. Ethan sat in the hallway outside her door, back against the wall, arms folded, wide awake. He had not slept, not even for a second. Downstairs, Liana sat at the kitchen table with her phone in both hands. No messages, no calls, just an empty screen and a heavy heart. Jax and Milo curled together on the couch, pretending to watch cartoons with no sound. They watched the door more than the screen. Nobody spoke, because nobody knew what to say, until the phone rang. Not Liana's, Ethan's. Everyone jumped. He looked at the screen and froze. Unknown number. His stomach turned. He answered. Hello. A man's voice came through. Smooth. Calm. Too calm. Ethan, the voice said. Your life became interesting very fast, didn't it? Ethan's hand tightened around the phone. Where are you? He asked. The voice chuckled softly. Nearby. Ethan stood up. Talia peeked from her doorway. Her heart pounded. This ends now, Ethan said. You leave my family alone. The voice paused, then said something that made the room go cold. Which child? Ethan's jaw locked. What do you mean? I have many, the man replied quietly. But you only care about one. The line went dead. Ethan threw the phone against the wall. The screen shattered. Liana gasped. He grabbed his jacket. I'm going out, he said. No, Liana said quickly. You stay here. I won't wait for him to take something else, Ethan replied. What if that's what he wants? She begged. Ethan turned. His voice broke. He already took 8 years. The front door opened, then slammed shut, and he was gone. Liana covered her mouth. Jack stood up. Mama. She hugged them close. I need you both to promise me something, she said. Jax nodded. Milo sniffed. Stay near your sister, she whispered. We will, Jax promised. She kissed their heads and ran upstairs. Talia stood by her door when Liana reached her. Mommy, she whispered. Liana pulled her into her arms. None of this is your fault, she said. Talia shook her head. I brought the wrong man home. Liana looked into her daughter's eyes. No, she said firmly. Fear did that. And lies. And secrets. Then, a knock came from the back door. Not loud. Not soft. 3 slow taps. The kind you feel. Not here. Liana froze. Talia grabbed her arm. Mama, Jax whispered from the stairs. Is that Daddy? Liana slowly stepped into the hallway. Milo cried quietly. The knock came again. Louder. Then a voice. Open the door, Doctor. Richard Hale. Inside her house. Again. Liana felt fire rush through her chest. She stormed toward the door. Opened it. Richard stood there alone. No guards. No smile. His face looked tired. Angry. Habitually dangerous. Leave, she said. Richard looked past her into the house. At Talia. No, he said quietly. This time, I take what is mine. Liana slapped him. Hard. The sound cracked in the air like a gunshot. Richard stared at her. Then laughed. Low. Dark. That won't save her. Talia stepped forward. Fear gone. Fire in its place. I am not your daughter, she shouted. Richard's eyes met hers. You're wrong, he said. She shook. Not scared. Angry. You don't know me. That stopped him. Just for a second. Liana stepped between them. She belongs to no one but herself, she said. Richard moved. Fast. Tried to reach Talia. Liana shoved him. Harder than she ever thought she could. He stumbled. Not far. But enough. He straightened and glared. I try to keep distance, he said. I tried. Liana laughed. Sharp and broken. Tried? You destroyed lives and called it control. Richard's lip twitched. You don't get to talk to me like I'm human. Talia yelled. She is human. Sirens wailed nearby. Approaching. Richard heard them. So did they. He stepped back slowly. You think this is over? He asked. Ethan's voice came from behind him. It is. Richard turned. Ethan stood in the driveway. Face bruised. Eyes blazing. Police cars behind him. Lights painting the street blue and red. Richard raised his hand slowly. Well, he said calmly. Look at that. Officers rushed in. Guns raised. Hands cuffed. Richard did not fight. As they dragged him toward the car, he locked eyes with Talia and said softly, I'll always be part of you. Ethan roared. No. The door slammed. The car drove away. And with it, the nightmare. Silence fell again. Only this time, it felt warmer. Days passed. Slow. Shaky. But safe. Richard Hale was charged. No escape. No power. The world finally saw who he was. Liana slept again. Ethan stayed. Every night. Every morning. Just like before. But not afraid now. Alive. The school called. Father's Day came around again. Talia stood at the gate. Jax beside her. Milo holding her hand. Ethan walked with them. Proud. Steady. Real. A boy called out from the line. Where's your other dad? Talia smiled. We don't need to. Inside the gym, they sat together. One family. No lies. No fear. Ethan leaned down and whispered to Talia. You don't belong to your past, he said. You belong to your future. She smiled. Wide. Bright. Free. That night, the house felt right again. Not perfect. Not fancy. Just safe. Ethan tucked the kids in. Liana stood in the doorway. He kissed her hand. Softly. Gently. No more running, he said. She nodded. No more hiding. Down the hall, Talia whispered to her brothers. We won. Jack smiled sleepily. Milo yawned. Good. But far away, in a prison cell, a man sat alone. In silence. With nothing but memories. And a name. The house finally learned how to breathe again. Not the broken way it did the night fear walked through the door, but the slow, gentle kind. The kind that comes after a storm when the air feels new. Morning sunlight touched the floor in long, quiet lines. The smell of toast filled the kitchen. Milo sat at the small table drawing a house with too many windows. Jax built a tower of cups beside him. Talia stood at the sink washing her favorite blue cup like it might disappear if she looked away. Ethan stood behind Liana with his hands resting lightly on her shoulders. Not holding, just reminding. I'm here, his hands said. Liana leaned back into him without thinking. For the first time in years, she didn't flinch when someone stood too close. I slept, she whispered. Ethan smiled. So did I. That alone felt like a victory. They had not slept properly since, well, since everything. Since secrets. Since mistakes. Since hearts got broken and never returned the same way. But this morning felt different. The phone rang. Liana stiffened. Ethan touched her arm. I'll answer, he said gently. He picked up, listened, then relaxed. It's the officer, he said. Richard Hale's case is moving forward. No bail. No release. Liana closed her eyes. Not in fear. In relief. A door inside her finally shut. Talia looked up from the sink. Does that mean he's gone? Ethan nodded. Yes. Talia didn't smile. She didn't jump. She just let out a breath she had been holding all her life. Jax whispered, good. Milo added, he was scary. Liana crossed the room and pulled all three of them into her arms. Fear doesn't get to live here anymore, she said. Ethan joined the hug. For hearts. For worlds. One place. Later that week, the school mailed a letter. Talia carried it inside like it was glass. It was addressed to the family. Not just mom. Not just one name. The family. Inside was a small note from the teacher. Thank you for coming. Your children walked taller this time. Talia placed the letter on the fridge with a magnet shaped like a butterfly. Milo stood on a chair to reach it. Jax watched quietly. When he climbed down, he asked Ethan softly, Are you really staying? Ethan knelt so they were eye to eye. I'm not going anywhere, he said. For any reason. Jax nodded once. Big brother satisfied. Later that night, Talia sat on the roof just like she used to when she felt heavy. Ethan climbed up beside her. I used to come here and imagine a different life, she said. Not rich. Just normal. Ethan smiled. Normal is overrated. She laughed quietly. I just wanted someone to come. For my school stuff. For my birthdays. For my dreams. Ethan looked at the stars. I missed all of it. His voice cracked. But I won't miss another second. Talia leaned against him. Then whispered something small. I was scared you'd leave too. Ethan wrapped his arm around her. I'm not perfect, he said. But I am yours. She nodded. And for the first time, she believed it. Weeks passed. The house filled with small normal sounds. Laughter. Arguments over socks. Burned pancakes. Bad singing in the shower. Good nights. Soft hugs. The kind of ordinary that feels like gold after chaos. One evening, they all sat around the kitchen table. Pizza night. Jax counted his slices. Milo saved the crusts. Talia poured juice. Liana leaned on Ethan's shoulder. And suddenly it hit her. This is what safety feels like. Not silent. Not perfect. But warm. And alive. She looked around the table and felt tears rise. Ethan noticed. "What is it?" he asked. She smiled. "We made it." And they did. Not by magic. Not by luck. But by truth. By choice. By being brave when it hurt. By letting go when holding on was dangerous. Later, when the kids were in bed, Ethan and Liana sat on the couch. No talking. Just hands linked. Then she said something her heart had waited years to say. "I forgive myself." Ethan smiled. She whispered again. "And I forgive you." He nodded. And forgave himself too. Because love isn't perfect. But it stays when it matters. And this story, it wasn't about kidnapping. Or money. Or fear. It was about home finding you. About children being brave enough to ask questions. About adults being strong enough to answer. About blood not making family. Love does. And sometimes, the wrong door leads you to the right place. Sometimes, a mistake cracks open the truth. Sometimes, children see what adults are too tired to face. And sometimes, being found doesn't mean location. It means finally being seen. So here's what this story leaves behind for you. If you're hurting, don't hide forever. If you're broken, you're not done. If you're scared, you're not weak. If you've lost years, you can still build days. Love is not about perfection. It's about staying. And family is not about who made you. It's about who chose you. If you needed this story today, if it touched something quiet in you, if it reminded you of who you still can be, then let it sit with you. Carry it gently. And remember, you are not your past. You are your next step. And if you're still here, you are still winning. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more amazing stories. Thank you for watching.